As just hours from now, former President Donald Trump is set to face a judge in New York City, something that the United States has never seen before, a president indicted on criminal charges.
Now, President Trump is expected to turn himself in early this afternoon. This was the moment he arrived in New York from his Mar-a-Lago resort yesterday, and this morning we have team coverage on what we can expect today. Megan Mitchell will walk us through what comes next for Mr. Trump, and Chris Sadeghi will look at the impact this could have on the 2024 presidential race.
We also want to say good morning again to our senior political reporter, Jason Whiteley, who joins us for what is expecting to be a very unprecedented day.
This will be something watched worldwide this afternoon when it actually unfolds. You know, the legal process that does unfold this afternoon is going to be happening in Manhattan. It's very routine, but the defendant in this case, as we all know, is anything but. This morning, New York City bracing for something the country has never seen, a former U.S. president surrendering on criminal charges. Here's a live look right now outside Trump Tower where the former president is waking up this morning. Early this afternoon, about 1:15 Dallas time, a motorcade will drive Donald Trump 4 miles south to the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse. That's just a few blocks from the Brooklyn Bridge if you're familiar with Lower Manhattan. The courthouse has been cleared of other routine business so Trump can be booked in, he can be fingerprinted, photographed, and then stand before a judge where he will enter an initial plea of either guilty or not guilty. This case, if you've been following it, surrounds payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels to keep quiet about an alleged extramarital affair. Trump denies that affair and says he's innocent of these charges, but we'll be watching for two things this afternoon. First, how will this physically play out? What will it look like? And second, what are the charges that a New York grand jury indicted him on last week? We will not know those specific counts until they are unsealed this afternoon by a New York judge. This morning, New York City has all 35,000 or so police officers on standby in case they need to be called in. Let's bring in Megan Mitchell now with a little more information and to show really how New York is preparing and for exactly what we'll see this afternoon. Megan?
Yeah, Jason, and you laid it out well. We want to kind of bring you up to date on the newest information of both what we can expect inside and then outside that courtroom in New York. So let's start with inside. News outlets not going to be allowed to broadcast the arraignment today. In a decision late last night, Judge Juan Merchan says that he will allow 5 photographers to capture still photos for a few minutes before the formal start of that arraignment. Video cameras, however, they are not going to be allowed, nor will any electronics of any kind. Here is a live look outside of the Manhattan DA's office. You see those metal barriers outside as security gets ramped up. And of course, as President Trump told his supporters to protest. Well, a number of supporters of the president posted up outside of Trump Tower as he arrived yesterday. The NYPD and Secret Service have been working to secure that area, and the mayor of New York City said there are no credible threats to the city at this time. He also tweeted out, "While you're in our city, be on your best behavior. As always, we will not allow violence or vandalism of any kind, and if someone is caught participating in any act of violence, they will be arrested and held accountable no matter who you are." One big unknown here is if Trump will have that mugshot taken and if that will be made public. We're going to get over to Chris Sadeghi right now. And Chris, no doubt this case is going to affect the political landscape and the race for the White House. How's it looking?
Yes, Megan, it is already a political battleground with Trump and opponents no doubt looking forward to 2024 and how to strategically frame this case. From Trump's side of things, they want to present it as an overzealous DA, politically motivated attack, an overreach, a district attorney with ulterior motives. But his campaign also released a memo over the weekend claiming Trump received a boost in polling numbers after the indictment was announced. An ABC News poll found most of the people asked believe Trump should be charged, but as you might imagine, that number is split heavily along party lines, whether you identify as a Republican or a Democrat. But the same poll found that 47% do seem to think the charges are politically motivated, while 32% say no and 20% are not sure. Now, even other Republicans who could be Trump's opponents in the primary have come to his aid in saying that they also believe it is a political ploy. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley among them. However, one candidate, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, said this weekend that he believes Trump should withdraw from the race because he thinks this indictment will be a sideshow and a distraction. Back to you, Mark, Kara, and Jason.
I mean, it's definitely going to be a sideshow, but I think we know that. One of the questions I have for Jason this morning that I've seen thrown around, heard discussed about, is this novel legal theory. So what does that mean, and what do we know about it?
Well, that's something that a lot of folks on the right and some legal professors are talking about. We're not going to know what this novel legal theory is until the judge unseals the charges this afternoon. There are said to be 30-something counts, maybe 20-something counts is what some people are reporting. When those charges are unsealed, we'll know exactly what the grand jury indicted Trump on. And at that point, you can bet there'll be a lot of people talking about the charges he faces.
But you mentioned those charges and the number of them, but this is just one case, and he's got several other massive investigations pending.
He faces a criminal investigation in Georgia for perhaps pressuring that state to overturn what happened in 2020. He also faces investigation in D.C. for what happened around January 6th. There's a lot of other things swirling around this, but this is going to be a distraction for a while. Still, it has to play itself out in the court system first.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Sure.
So our coverage will continue at 6:30. We're going to have a legal expert join us to break down the case, and ABC will have full coverage of today's arraignment. That begins on Good Morning America at 7 o'clock.